folks, Parslow and Mr. Clinton, Conway, speaking and exposing corruption each and every day. Yeah, 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 yeah. Guyanese, turn on your TV and go to YouTube and listen to what Parslow and Conway to say. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whole day we are calling for Parslow and Clinton Conway. They teach and educating, exposing the things in the system. We need a better Guyana for the little boys and the children poor. Slow and Clinton Conway.
All the money they invest, 2.2 billion.
Hear me when I sing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh.
And they would have gotten
Guyanese at home and abroad. Please log into Conway as wide as it can reach. Parslow, you always will preach. Oh, yeah, yeah. Like and share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so this message could reach as far, and every Guyanese will feel well. Oh yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Parslow and Clinton Conway, Paul and Conway, every day.
all the money they invest, 2.2 billion of our money. That money could have been invested someplace. They have to write the issues. Welcome to the Friday afternoon episode of Speaking Out, exposing corruption and incompetence. Welcome, one and all. Welcome. Hope you had a pleasant day so far. You're looking forward to a fantastic weekend. So here we are, another day, another episode of Speaking Out, exposing corruption and incompetence. Today is Friday, the 9th day of January in the year of our Lord 2026. 9 days already, imagine. Just the other day, couple minutes ago, we was ringing in the new year. Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Now today is the 9th day of January, and the year is moving. Time and they said time and why does the saying go? Time waits for no man. Time and tide wait for no man. So the time is going to roll, and we're going to come here and bring you credible, valuable information. Friday, the 9th day of January 2026, another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It is indeed a privilege to be in the land of the living, and we should never, ever take that for granted. And you know, as the intro said, share the live, hit the notification button. You know, we put it in song now. We put it in song. We have been appealing to you to do that. Now we put it in song so that maybe you're gonna be more responsive. Not necessarily you on this live, but people who are gonna later on listen to the program on YouTube, and those of you who might be sharing it and so on, tell them to subscribe. Tell them to subscribe. As the song suggests, subscribe and assist in spreading the word. Again, you know, perhaps it's redundant and it's a bit monotonous for me to keep telling you that we have so much to tell you. But today again, so much to tell you, and you're not gonna regret being here. Although it's Friday afternoon, people have lots of activities going into the weekend, and maybe this is January month is hard guava season, having spent a lot of money for the Christmas and New Year, having not been given your cash grant as some of you were expecting and anticipating. So guava season time this January month for a lot of people. Because what happens, in many cases, think of the public service, you get paid early in December. And then from January, the pay gone back. So in many cases, it's a longer period between payday. But you can make it, bear the change. The Lord will provide. The Lord will provide. As we say, give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living, and He will provide. Let me tell you that some of you are going to be disappointed again. My colleague CC is unable to make it. He has a very he's unavoidably absent, as we would say, and he's going to be here soon. But for today, I'm going to bat alone. Single wicket competition. Do they have those things now? Sean, Jakey, and the other cricketers used to get double wicket, used to have single wicket competition. And I don't know if they get those things now. But I used to look forward, especially to the double wicket, where people pair up and you play the double wicket. People perhaps don't even know now about the rules governing single wicket and double wicket. So today is going to be a single wicket competition. And maybe some of you are at fault because on the last occasion, on Wednesday, you told me how well I did batting alone. So that might have influenced the decision to bat alone today again. Yeah, but here we are. What we're going to do, we're going to give you we acknowledge those who came into the schoolyard and the classroom very early, and we are going to move on. Now I am going to move on. Pace and power this afternoon. Pace and power. Some of them biting. We're going to make it bite more when we reveal some of all the corruption and all the incompetence. So tune in, tell the people. I know some people have indicated to me that they like sit down, put YouTube on their big screen TV and cock up with a little Coke and popcorn. Some of them something a little more potent, and they enjoy the show. When we schedule, or when the gates were open at 2, the first man listed, upstate New York, Sean. Then he was followed by Ricky Smith, followed by Brian, Peter, Desiree, and there's from Georgia, Puran from Essequibo Coast. Then it is Ezzy, Rawl 11752. Mary is from Brooklyn, New York. We have Evelyn, Felicia, Kerry is from Maryland, but he's having an extended vacation in GT. Then we have Paulette. There it was, after Paulette, it was Joan all the way from New Amsterdam. Harold is here with us. Aubrey Bray is here. Denise from Florida. Courtney is New Jersey. Sandra Emerson is here with us as well. Paulette. This is Nav Joe. Then it was Kenneth from Maryland. Umur come in the first minute. Ivor is here within the first minute of the program. Doreen, my squad mate from Canada, is also here. Lynette, all the way from the UK. She's also here very early. So too was Joy. And then when the school door was open, let me see how they came in to the classroom. Let me scroll down. First man listed here is Calvis. Then Simone, Charlene is here, and Brian is here as well. Rhonda, then I'm still in the house very early. Commissioner Cole, Pam, West Demerara again. Sian, Tessa, Junior, and the list goes on and on. Theodore, then it was, the list goes on. Some people came back and came in again. Lynette, good to see you. Lynette is from Barbados in the house. Yeah, so those are the ones who came in early, and therefore we acknowledge their early presence. And now we go for the announcements, starting with the sad ones, and then we're gonna move. You see me dressed in a mournful color, a little black this afternoon, even though it's a t-shirt, black. And the reason why I'm dressed like this afternoon is that I have my squad mate who has been laid to rest this afternoon. I refer to retired late Sergeant Borges, Wyatt Borges, 9384. He's been laid to rest this afternoon at Denham Cell, West Bank. He died in New York. There was a service for him some time ago in New York, and today he's been laid to rest at Denham Cell on the west coast of Demerara. And to tell you too, on Sunday will be the funeral of Preston Kit Carrington. Preston Carrington was a boxer, and he then became associated with the police, where he was a masseuse, right? Used to massage the athletes And I know he used to massage the Commissioner Lewis, but Preston was known around the place as a masseuse. And then, I was yesterday, I was there and I got a call, and the call was, well, one of those sad calls. Somebody called me to tell me that for retired Assistant Superintendent Orman Wintz had just passed, and the circumstances of his passing really move you. I understand that Orman has a grandson, I think a grandchild, 3-4 years old. He picks him up every day and will take him home from school or daycare, wherever he was. And yesterday he was doing that, and it would appear that on the way home, he had what Dr. Luncheon had said, a cardiac episode. When Cherry Jagan died in 1997, I think it was the morning after Valentine's Day, we had a meeting at the police officers' mess. Dr. Luncheon was there, and then he announced that the president had a cardiac episode during the night. So when I learned of this thing about Orman, the site might have been, and the car crashed, of course. If you're driving and you take in with heart attack, as I say, or a cardiac episode, the car crashed, and he died. And I understand that his grandson was injured. I haven't been able to get an update. But for those of you who don't know Orman, if I recall correctly, used to be a member of the police steel band back in the day. Then he was at the TSU. He spent a long time at the Parliament Building security. And around 2015, he became security to the then Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu. He was part of that security detail. And then when the coalition came to office, he was part of Minister of National Security, Kemraj Ramjatan's security detail. Orman Wintz, 10614 was his regulation number. So he passed yesterday. And then today, again, sad news, somebody called me to tell me that Joel Waldron, retired inspector, Joel passed away this morning. Joel was TSU rank again. You got to watch it, us former TSU members. He used to be at the Prime Minister Hamilton Green's security for a number of years. Joel, 9789 Waldron. He was there for a number of years as part of that security detail. He once headed that security detail. I understand that after he retired, he migrated, and then he returned to Guyana to settle on. And it is said that I think early this morning, he fell ill. He was rushed to the hospital, and then later he passed away, right? And then we had what we're seeing. I learned to this afternoon of the death of a former member of the Guyana Defense Force, GDF woman warrant officer, Maureen Skeet. And I understand that Maureen she was a former football FIFA referee. She died sometime today. I saw a post from the former Chief of Staff, Gary Best, expressing condolences to the family. And this morning, again, accident, brother. I can't show that. I saw what is a very disturbing video of a man lying under the rear wheel of a truck. And then later, another video with a woman alongside crying, inconsolably crying, some relative or so. The information that I got is that the man on the bicycle, apparently was on a bicycle, rode out from a street into the part of the truck, and he was killed by that truck. So again, we got to really and truly be careful. I want to take this opportunity to express condolences to all those, the relatives of and friends of the persons who have passed. And again, wish and pray that the good Lord will give you the strength to go through this difficult time. It's not easy. If a person is perhaps elderly and sickly, and then the shock can be cushioned, because even though we want them to go on, that maybe at some time, given the condition that they're going to pass. When people pass suddenly, especially younger ones, it is not easy to come to grips with. And some people have said, that me mind you, some people have said Some people say some good people passing, and you have some of these jagabats. They're wrong, making people's life miserable. The father in calling them. I know what somebody told me. You don't second guess the Lord. You don't second guess the Father. And somebody said too that death might be too good an ending for them. They must stay and they must punish for all the evil things that they have done. That is the view expressed by some, and I go along with the view. Death might be too swift for them. They must stay. They must punish. They must get according to shadow. They must get like Jacob. You know the song, Toe Jam? They will get like Jacob. They must walk and shake up before they finally go home. They must be able to reflect there in some home or some bed and reflect on all the evil that they did. Evil that they did. Right? So, yes. So we have that. We have that. But let me move away and give you the more pleasant announcements. Today, well, let me say this too. I told you I'm wearing black because of the death of, or the funeral for my squad mate and the death of those Bronx. They both worked with me at the TSU for a long time, right? Both Orman and Joel, they were there with me for a long time. And let me say this. I have taken the decision that on Fridays on this program, I'm going to wear something what we call mournful, either black or white, a combination of them. You know why? Because I'm going to mourn the death of democracy in Guyana, the death of democracy. I'm going to mourn. So maybe many of you might want to do likewise. Wear something black. Wear something black and let us see. You don't have to say nothing. You don't have to go and go up on the road and protest. I am going to be wearing black, and I'm going to be reminding them of the death of democracy. And I'm not going to make the statement, but I'm going to point out to issues and incidents which support that claim that democracy is dying in Guyana. And some people say has died. But I prefer to use the continuous, is dying in Guyana. So you're going to see me in something black on Fridays, right? Now let me move on to the more pleasant announcements. Today is the birth anniversary of, drum roll, Mrs. Jiva Conway, the wife of my co-host, my partner, CC, who, as we say, is unavoidably absent today, but today is Jiva's birthday. Today is Jiva's birthday. Today, too, is the birth anniversary or birthday. It is Pastor Schultz. You know, CC always speaks about Pastor Schultz from the west coast of Berbice. Today is his birth anniversary. Today is also the birth anniversary of a young cousin of mine, Abiel Williams. Today she's 15. My cousin and my neighbor is celebrating our 15th birth anniversary today. And we have a few belated birthday greetings. The first one I want to give is to Anton Pfeiffer. Many people remember Pfeiffer used to be there. What a program in the night, Towards the Dawn. John Sayers, Pfeiffer, they used to be there with Father Harris in the welfare section. For Pfeiffer migrated some years ago. I think his number was 8563. I got to know, I can't remember all these numbers. But Anton celebrated a birth anniversary recently. Also celebrated a birth anniversary recently too was former GF officer. I think he retired as a major, Prince Pickering. Prince Pickering, if my memory serves me correctly, he was involved in volleyball. He was involved in volleyball. So Prince had a birthday recently. And also a birthday recently, guess who? Brian Max, the man what they call Mad Max, right? Mad Max had a birthday recently too as well. He was a guardian of democracy. He was one of the guardians of democracy back in 2020. And then they come to realize, he's one of them that came to realize that the democracy that they were guarding is not a true democracy. It's not a true, it's not flipping bandits they were protecting, and they put into office a lot of bandits, a lot of rogues and vagabonds they put into office. And then I have a friend in Bordeaux recently. Dudley might know. Well, Dudley would know him. Ratcliffe Daly former major in the Jamaican Defense Force. When I was with Cricket West Indies and I go to Jamaica to work, used to catch up there at Sabina Park. Ratcliffe Daly had a birth anniversary recently. And in terms of advanced birthday greetings are going out to the one and only my wife, Ellis. Also former chief of staff of the Guyana Defense Force, Lewis, right? So, and I can't just say advanced birthday greetings to my wife just like that. I have to play or play you that, hold on, I got to play you that special song. Here it goes.
January girls, I think, are the best. January girls, they surpass the rest. February girls, they are hard to please and like to have their men bowing to their knees. And as the March winds blow, the girls are just the same. They drink you like a fish and give you a false name. In every sense, I would rather be in love with a girl born January. The girls that were born in April and May, they like to be glamorous night and day. Parties and nightclubs, they gone to roam. It's difficult to get them to stay at home. As for June and July, you cannot trust. They are known to the world to be flirtatious, and that is why I would rather be in love with a girl born January. August, September and October, it will be Virgo, Scorpio and Libra. Well, the girls that were born under these three signs, they like the English weather for changing their minds, especially those who born under Scorpio. They just tell you yes and then they change to no, and that is why I would rather be in love with a girl born January. January ruled by Aquarius. They are usually modest and generous. The appropriate partner to have in life. They guarantee to make you a splendid wife. Well, November and December don't trust their sight. They like angels in the day and devils at night. And that is why I would rather be in love with a girl born January.
Yes, January girls are the best. I can attest to that. So again, birthday greetings to all the January girls, and a special birthday greetings to my special, advanced birthday greetings to my special January girl. Right? So let me move on now. I'm going to move on. Cricket for the cricketers, the Ashes came to an end. The Ashes series came to an end. And you got to look forward to one now. Next month is the World T20, and they get a lot of matches in between. But that's a big thing on the calendar, I think. But let me say this. The result of the Ashes, 4-1 in favor of Australia. And to be honest, I am not surprised at the results. I'm disappointed in the level of competition, right? Because the English people and the media and the cricket pundits led us to believe that it would be in such a close series. When you look at the predictions, England was to beat up Australia because they talk about Australia aging team and England had a young dynamic team with the basketball and all sort of things here. But this cricket and most games or all games not play in the newspaper. You gotta go on the field and perform. You have to go out on the field and perform. And I would say this, some of you might want to contradict me or say something. England gotta be lucky because Australia was never at full strength really. No Cummins, no the next opening bowler is Load. Then you get a Lion getting sidelined with injury. Man, look, I enjoyed it because I backed Australia. I backed Australia, and I think I was hoping for a 5-0. But to listen now and to hear all of these commentators, Michael Vaughan, Nasser Hussain, Bumbles, and all of them, for here they're growing. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, welcome. I see somebody watching from St. Kitts, one of the places that I love to work back in the day. St. Kitts, welcome, welcome, welcome. Now let me move on. Let me move on as I tell you all the space and power this afternoon. I'm batting alone, so I got to play a lot of shots. When you're batting alone, you don't want to run and tide yourself, especially at this age. So it's a lot of strokes. Get your fours, get your sixes. And I'm going to get my fours and I get my sixes. Now, people have asked me to comment on a video that is circulating around, right? This is a policeman. Look, first of all, I'm sure this still picture. A policeman, traffic rank, and he wearing, look what he get on. He ain't got any police boots or police shoe. He wearing some ordinary shoe. And they've asked me to comment on it, and I will do so. And there's a video too. Let me show you the video. Then I'm going to make my comment at the end of it.
Is a regular by police? No, what's the reason?
Yes, sir?
What's the reason it's happening?
You recall overtaking us now on the double line in front of the station?
Overtake on the double line in front of the station?
Yes, sir.
I can't recall.
Alright, might have okay documents and driver license.
No, I don't have my
firearm holder?
I don't have a driver's license. I don't have my documents. And there's how you come on to stop me without shoe? Police?
Pardon me, sir?
There's how you come on to stop me, police?
Well, there are a lot of things to unpack. I'll do so quickly. I'll do so very quickly. And again, I say, lack of training, you know. Lack of training. It is evident when you analyze these tapes and these interactions. First of all, let me deal with the shooting and so on, yeah? That it could be that the rank was on slipper duty, and if you are on slipper duty, you are permitted to wear slipper instead of your regular police shoe or boots. Let me understand. You're permitted to wear slipper other than your regular police shoe or boots. Something happened to your foot, you go to the doctor, you get slipper duty. Doctor recommends slipper duty. The tradition has been that once a rank is recommended slipper duty, the rank is made to work inside. You don't send rank outside on the road, especially in traffic, with anything other than the regulation shoe or the regulation boots, right? So yes, he might have been allowed, it might have been appropriate for him to be wearing something other than the regulation shoe and boots. But I don't believe it is appropriate for a policeman, traffic man in particular, to be out enforcing traffic, not being properly dressed. All right, having said that, he is alleging that the guy overtook on the double white line or something. In other words, he's alleging dangerous driving, right? You're gonna ask the man, do you know why why I stopped you? No, I know why you stopped me. The correct answer, I know why you stopped me. You must when you stop, you must let the person know why what caused you to stop them. And then he asks for documents, right? And then it is remarkable. The man said, no, I ain't got no driver's license and I ain't got no papers and so on. Then he asks the question, the man has a license for IM holder. What I got to do with it? I don't know. But I mean, this is just a small piece of the tape. I hope, of the video, I hope that when some action was taken, because as I've explained repeatedly, and for the policemen who are here in civilian, you have to have your driver's license with you at all times. And when the police ask for your driver's license, you have to present your driver's license, right? So I see you took over the double yellow line. Well, overtaking at a double yellow line is prima facie dangerous driving. Overtaking on a bridge, prima facie dangerous driving. In other words, it's dangerous driving at first glance, right? Once you do that. But again, I say lack of training, because when the police gonna ask the man, and the man gonna tell, no, I don't have a driver's license. No, I ain't got no document. Then he asks him, strangely, he asks him if he's a licensed firearm holder. Where that come from? Where did that come from? And I'm saying, when the police stop someone, and this is the policeman, police, be specific. I want to see a driver's license. I want to see your certificate of fitness, as the case may be. Those are the two documents you can ask to see, and you should be able to see. The registration for the revenue license should be displayed on the front left side of the vehicle. The insurance, no one has to present the insurance immediately. The law says they have 5 days from the time the demand is made to present your certificate of insurance, right? And somebody said maybe he saw a firearm, but you saw a firearm, you're going to ask the man for his driver's license, and then you're going to ask if he get firearm license. You see, let's assume that he looked in and he saw a firearm. You're going to ask if he get you're suggesting then that if he did not have a license to the firearm, he's going to tell you, yes, I get it. What is the purpose of that? What is the purpose? I would have thought that if you see a firearm in anything and you're suspicious, call for help. And that is one of the problems too, because these policemen are going on duty. They don't have radio sets. Because a situation like that would have demanded that you get on the radio, call it in right away so patrols and them can respond. Call it in right away, right? So people have asked me to comment on it. So let me comment on the shoe part first, right? Yes, slipper duty allows you to have, as they say, slipper duty. Because the thinking is that if you can't wear the police boots or the police shoe, then you can't wear civilian shoe as well to work, right? You cannot wear that as well to work. But it seems that he had on a ordinary shoe. Let me show it again. See, like he had on an ordinary shoe. I don't know if it's a slipper. The thing is not clear, right? But he's allowed. Policemen are allowed. And the doctor will recommend you to be put on slipper duty. I know back in the day at the TSU, men that want drill and so on, they go and get slipper duty, right? People at their quarters, A division, who have to drill, come to drill, they want drill, they go and get slipper duty. And once you get slipper duty, then that excludes you from drilling, right? So I know what's going on now. But I was asked to explain, and I thought it best to explain. So that is what it is. Again, I say I end this part by saying that Carl say he never heard about slipper duty. Yeah, it's a real thing in the police force, Carl. Slipper duty. You go to Dr. Wharton or you go to something might happen to your foot. And you go and the doctor recommends you ain't gonna leave. You're not gonna be given leave, sick leave. You're granted slipper duty, right? And normally, if you're slipper duty, then you're confined to the inquiry's office or you're confined somewhere inside. You perform duty inside. And I say some of them. Well, I was tempted to say lazy. Some of them boys and girls don't want to drill. You go and you get slipper duty. Slipper duty prevents you from wearing boots and police shoes, and therefore you ain't going and drill. Those were some of the tricks in the trade, right? You get, yes, Ulrich, Wharton used to like give slipper duty. The only time Wharton used to give enough leave, and we at the TSU learned that, Wharton was morbidly afraid of people with mumps. You know, your jaw swell, so you used to just rub a little Vaseline and puff your jaw, put something, and you go for it, tell you hit the door and break down there. No. When what's your name, Miriam? You tell when Miriam asks you what going on, tell my jaw swell. I think you know what, even jaw swell. Miriam stop in there and tell that Wharton sending your sick leave 3 days and so on. And if Wharton give you 3 days sick leave, that was like a month. Wharton never used to give sick leave. Wharton was a man, he give you 1 day. You're lucky you get the 1 day. Other than that, Wharton just think the thing and send you back. That somebody tell red eye to, yes. Yeah. Conjunctivitis, what we call red eye. So them thing, well, rather you can't fake them because you can see the thing, but with the mums, you used to go rub your face with a little Vaseline, your jaw shine, and you go to Wharton and so on. Yeah, so let me move on. Yeah, so Carl, slipper duty is a real thing in the police force. It used to be. Let me move on. You know, I saw something this morning. I tell you all, I am wearing my black to mourn the death of democracy in Guyana. Somebody and also the descent into what can be described as autocracy and police state. Autocracy and police state. I saw something early this morning. Sometimes, you know, let me tell you this. Sometimes you see these things that you can't believe. You can't believe. But then, and I didn't pay much attention to it, but then later in the day, I got the Stabrook News, and I see Stabrook News get the article. And here what it has been said. It is headlined, right? Today, you talk about today at Stabrook News. If you read it early this morning, or you read the newspaper, you're not going to get it because it came out online later in the morning, right? Auto sales businessman arrested after complaining firearm license requires a bribe. Let me read about auto sales businessman arrested after complaining firearm license require a bribe. So I'm going to show you the video a little later too. But this is a man, auto salesman from West Demerara. He said this, the article goes on. A United States businessman, Stanley Basdio, has been arrested and is currently in police custody at Lenore Police Station for allegedly committing a cybercrime. Basdio had posted a video on TikTok expressing his frustration at not being able to obtain a firearm license after operating a car dealership business in Guyana since 2013. He posted the video 3 days ago and was arrested yesterday. There has been no statement from the police on this matter. A relative confirmed that Basdio is expected to appear in court today. So I expect he might have been appeared again. In the video, the businessman said he has been doing business in Guyana since 2013 and disclosed that he has been trying to obtain a firearm license to help protect the business. Basdio disclosed that for 2025, the company had sold more than 120 cars and that over $120 million was paid to the Guyana Revenue Authority in taxes. Hold on, somebody say no song. I am sure you think wrong because everybody else hearing me. So reboot, no song man, right? He paid in taxes. Then the courtier, I mean, this year alone, we did about over 120 cars. I guess he meant last year. That's over 120 million GRA collected up front, right? And you got people selling candy here and have firearms. And all our businesses is higher purchase. So people have to make payments on a monthly basis, and we cannot protect ourselves in this country. He lamented. According to Basil, he completed the application process to obtain the license, and while he is yet to receive it, he mentioned being told by other establishments that a bribe must be paid of about 2 to 4 million to get the firearm license, even though it is a legitimate business. Quoting again here, and all I am getting from the establishment or people in these areas, is that you have to pay a bribe. You're going to pay like 2 million or 4 million to 2 million to get a firearm, even though you have a legitimate business in this country. This is how far. This is what really going on. When you talk about corruption, I mean, come to Guyana and you would understand what is corruption, especially if you want to do business here. Welcome aboard. That is Mr. Stanley Basdio. Now, let me show you all the tape, the TikTok video that is being referenced. Here we go. Just about a minute long. So here we go.
Hi guys. Yeah, we've been doing business here since 2013, and one of the licensing I was looking for is a gun license to protect our business. I mean, this year alone we did about over 120 cars. That's over $120 million GRA collected up front. right? And you got people selling candy here and have firearm. And we all our business hire purchase, so people have to make payments on a monthly basis. And we cannot protect ourselves in this country. We did all the application process, and all I'm getting from the establishment or people in these areas, is that you have to pay a bribe. You got to pay like $2 million or $4 to $2 million to get a firearm, even though you have a legitimate business in this country. This is how far. This is what's really going on when you talk about corruption. I mean, come to Guyana and you would understand what corruption is, especially if you want to do business here. Welcome aboard.
And for that, Mr. Stanley Basdio, there's a Stanley Basdio, according to the report, was arrested for cybercrime. For making that statement, he was arrested for cybercrime, and they said he should have gone to court today. Now, there are a lot of things too. We know about the weaponization of this cybercrime act. We know the same cybercrime act that Anil Nandalal SC said over 2 years now will be repealed and replaced with a more modern legislation. Because some people, including me, question the constitutionality of the Cybercrime Act. When the Constitution guarantees you freedom of speech, and you speak, and then they criminalize your speech. They criminalize it. So this is a man who made a statement. Obviously, the man is frustrated based on what he said, and he get legitimate business. He applied since 2013, he can't get. And they're telling me, Jackie Opel, you got to talk to Jackie Opel, you got to pay. And we have had numerous complaints. We have highlighted that here time and time again. Time and time again. And we know because the evidence is there. I spoke of an incident about a month ago where a man who is associated with the PPP, listen to this carefully, he's associated with the government or people in the PPP, went to make an application. He went to see a very senior police officer to get a firearm license. It is said, it is alleged that the senior police officer tell he got to come up with $2 million Guyana dollars. The man was taken back. So he left and he went to his contacts in the PPP and he told them of the encounter he had with the senior police officer. They too, I know why they were surprised, but what they decided that they told him to get the $2 million, hand it over, and in other words, they're setting a trap. The $2 million was acquired, and they told him to call the senior man and tell him come for it. He called the senior man and said, the money ready, come for the money. The senior man did not go. The senior man sent one of his assistants. And when the assistant went there, the assistant was held, collecting the $2 million. And nothing happened. I guess they're going to say now this is a cybercrime too. Nothing happened so far. $2 million. So the man, and look, CC is not here, but CC will tell you about the places, Chief Chandapal Drive, a place in Brigham, Lamar Street, and all those places. CC will tell you. We know these things. These are not merely allegations. People come, people tell you, right? They talk about a firearm licensing board. What firearm licensing board? What firearm licensing board? The whole system to acquire firearm is corrupt. Let them do a proper forensic audit, and you'll see how many firearms licenses were issued in the run-up to the last election when they anticipated that there might have been some violence. When they anticipated violence, Doro firearm license, and look to see who are the persons selling firearms legally. Look to see where the firearm dealers, and that will tell you something. So this man, frustrated, gone TikTok, make the thing. Well, I haven't seen any update as to whether he actually appeared in court. But I want to know how they're charging him. Who is the man didn't call any name, You will note that. That's just based on what we have seen. So we don't know if the tape, if the video is longer, but based on what we have seen, no name or names were not called, right? So if this man didn't call any name, how you charging him for cybercrime? Who is the virtual complainant? Who gonna go and get this evidence to say, because the law is clear, the Cybercrime Act is clear. These statements have to be made to they tell you to the annoyance and the person felt. In other words, the person against whom these statements are made have to complain, like the chief of staff of the Guardian Defense Force, or the chief of defense staff, Omar Khan. He's a brigadier, Omar Khan. When Annette Ferguson, member of parliament, said something about Omar Khan in parliament, I think it was, or maybe outside, I'm not sure. If it's in parliament, it might have been privileged speech. She said something about him, and he said, he made a report to the police because he said that the thing causes some psychological distress. The chief of staff, the current chief of staff of the Guardian Defense Force. The point is that you have to have a virtual complainant. You have to have a virtual complainant, right? So then let me tell you further. Because when we say virtual complainant, let me explain to the police, because I see them writing complainant and accused. And they don't understand, many of them, especially those that are in the corporate communications unit. They had macrometer, they understand, they get to the macrometer, no police experience. But many of the people who are there as well don't have the policing experience. So they use some of these words and some of these phrases interchangeably and widely. So you have to have a virtual complainant. The virtual complainant is the person who will go and make the report, feel like they're a grieved person. You go and you make the report. Now, for the matter to enter into the court, if it's a summary matter, then the police will make out a complaint without oath. A complaint without oath. And on the complaint without oath, the policeman who is instituting the charge, he becomes the complainant. So understand this thing clearly. The policeman who is making out the charge is the complainant. The person who made the report is the virtual complainant. I see them mix up the thing. That thing is basic thing, man. All me, 15 years retired and counting. You remember these things? So you have the virtual complainant. So who is the virtual complainant in this case against Ballieu? In other words, even if you sat at a computer and you saw this statement, you feel aggrieved, he mentioned your name, how you know he's talking to you? How you know? They're just wasting time. They're wasting time. And as I've said, I haven't seen any follow-up because the relative said that he should have gone to court today, but I haven't seen any follow-up if the man went to court or not. So we have to highlight these things. So they're using complainant and virtual complainant very loosely. Same too with defendant and accused. I saw something released about traffic, and they're referring to the person who is charged with some traffic offense as an accused person. I mean, the layman wouldn't understand, but this is a police, you ought to know the difference between an accused person and a person who's a defendant. Let me explain to y'all. Let me explain. Now, when a person is charged indictably, right? Well, before I go there, I should tell you, when I mentioned the complaint without oath, because that is what the summary matter is, complaint without oath. Now we said the indictable matter, there's no complaint, right? The person swears to an information. So you get information and oath. Let me walk you back. Traffic matter and them simple matter. The policeman makes out a complaint without oath. The policeman becomes the complainant. The person who made the report is now the virtual complainant, right? Basic stuff. Now, if it's an indictable matter enters the court through information upon oath. So there's no complaint that is made out. Information is made out. And then the person who is no longer the policeman now, is no longer the complainant. He is the informant. He goes before the magistrate and he swears to the information. So there's an indictable matter. He swears to the information. And that is when, having sworn to the information, when the magistrate will then read the charge to the accused person, not a defendant. The magistrate reads the charge to the accused person, and then the magistrate will tell the accused person that the charge is indictable. You are not required to plea. You understand? Understand, students? Indictable charge. So summary charge, complaint without oath. indictable charge is the person goes and the person swears to the information. At a later stage, if the Administration of Justice Act is applied, in other words, the Administration of Justice Act allows for a charge that is instituted indictably to be tried summarily by the magistrate. I think it came in 1978, right? Because prior to the Administration of Justice Act, if you were charged indictably, you had a say on whether you want the matter to be disposed of summarily. You, the accused person, the magistrate will ask you, and if you said no, then it can't go summarily. But with the Administration of Justice Act, I think it was of 78, that discussion was removed from the accused person, and the magistrate decides, having listened to the arguments and so on, the magistrate will administer, or upon application of the prosecutor, the magistrate say, well, summary disposal. So then the AJA, Administration of Justice Act, is applied. At which stage, once the magistrate makes that decision, the magistrate will then reread the charge to now, because the person is no longer an accused person, to the defendant, because it is now going to be disposed of summarily. The magistrate rereads the charge to the defendant and asks the defendant to enter a plea. You can't plea if it's an indictable charge. The magistrate will tell you that. But once the Administration of Justice Act is applied, the matter now becomes summary, and therefore you are allowed to plea. And this can only happen in matters what we call hybrid. In other words, some people say either or. The matters, the charge or the offense is catered for under the Criminal Law Offences Act, Chapter 801, or the Summary Jurisdiction Act, Chapter 802. It has to be catered for in both acts. For example, a murder charge, a rape charge is only catered for in the Criminal Law Offences Act, Chapter 801. So you can't get summary disposal in that. You cannot get no summary disposal in that. So let me understand. And I'm saying this primarily for the young policemen. Well, they're young and not so young, because I know a lot of officers and them listen to this program. But again, I don't blame them, I blame the system. And I've said repeatedly, it's a pity that we no longer get the opportunity to interact with these officers and other ranks face-to-face to pass some of these nuggets to them. And I have said repeatedly, too, that Flo and Conway might be person non grata, but there are many other officers with knowledge, equal or more knowledge than we. Engage them and let them pass on to the people who are there. Lots and lots of, many, I mean, some of them might not want, given the toxic environment, some of them want to, might not want to be involved, might not want to be involved, but the knowledge is there. Many of them, I'm sure, are going to will be glad to be involved in the process, right? So I thought I'll explain that, because I read where they're talking about the accused person, man charged with some traffic offense, they refer to him as accused person and so on. For the layman, it might sound right. But if you are a professional police or somebody with legal training, you know that they're not accused, they're a defendant, the defendant, not the accused, because it's a summary matter, right? Now, I have said a lot on this. I hope that you students, the policemen in particular, have made your notes. Now continue to share, man. Y'all share. I enjoyed myself, and I hope that you too are enjoying the bit of education, the bit of valuable information that is provided to you. You see, again, let me say this. I am not a liar. I never attended any law school, right? I attended University of Guyana. I attended the Staff College in the UK. I attended the FBI Academy. I never got to IFLOT or Palmyra University. So maybe some will say, because I did not go there, I don't know. I believe that because I did not go there, that is why the knowledge resides with me. I know it all. So I can only share with you what I know. And if you believe that I am sharing valuable information, give me a thumbs up, man. Give me a thumbs up. There's me payment. Give me a thumbs up, and at least in the comments, say thank you. Give me the thumbs up and say thank you. And let me move on. let me move on. Now, let me hold on, let me just take a drink. Take a Yeah, normally when my partner there, when he come on, I would have me little sip of water, wet me palate, and then I will wipe my face with wipe off the little perspiration and so on. But yeah. Now let me, yeah, God is at a rate place. Let me read this one. Let me go to this one. Hey, I enjoying it. Gordon Mosley wrote yesterday. We talk about transparency, we talk about accountability and all these things. And I'm telling you, the Ghana Police Force currently is one of the least transparent organizations you could find. Least, they don't give you information, they don't answer questions. So yesterday, Gordon Mosley wrote on the post, he had a post on social media, news source. I tell y'all, don't get mixed up with news source and newsroom. News source is Gordon Mosley, who will tell you that big man don't go out of style, and I know that. Big man, I don't go out of style, Gordon Mosley. The other one, newsroom, is part of PPP propaganda arm, right? All right, so Gordon Mosley wrote this. It's not long, so I can read it. The Ghana Police Force appears to be exercising the right to remain silent when it comes to responding to questions about Guyana's murder rate for the year 2025. He said, Ghana Police Force exercising their right to remain silent. He goes on to say, news source has been repeatedly seeking information from the police force on the murder rate for the period January 1 to December 31st, 2025. Although the questions to the Joint Services WhatsApp group are being read by senior officials, including Minister of Home Affairs Unis Waldron and Top Cop Clifton Ikin, there continues to be silence on the requested information. Minister Waldron would only say that the police force provided information at the launch of the 2025 Christmas presentation. That presentation was done in early November, and since that date, there have been a number of murders recorded, but with no updated information being provided by the police. While the Police Force Public Relations Office has initially acknowledged the question, that office has since gone silent on providing any updated figures. During the Christmas presentation by the police force in November, the force boasted of a reduction in serious crimes, while admitting that cases of domestic murders have been on a steady increase, doubling the 2024 figures. News source has also requested information regarding the total number of recorded deaths as a result of road accidents and incidents during 2025. That request has also been met with silence, although the top brass of the force has repeatedly been in receipt of the updated figures. Now, what happened is this. They have a WhatsApp group, I understand. It includes members of the media, the minister, and all of them. And those of you who operate WhatsApp will know that when you send a message, you can tell if the message was delivered, you can tell if the message was read. So what God Moses is saying, the message is sent, you can see that it's delivered, you can see that it is read by all these people, but nobody providing any response. And given the minister's reaction as stated by Gordon Mosley, he said, the minister tell them, well, we did a presentation in November. The minister, I did not know this before, but based on how the minister is performing, I suspect that the minister had some type of military training. So the minister, as a drill instructor, as a former drill instructor, I know, the minister, instructed yourself, falling and cover down. Hey, that's what it is, a falling and cover down. So it appears that the minister fell in and covered down. So she just going with the flow. So that's yesterday, Gordon Mosley, right? And this morning now, Gordon Mosley, 130 murders and 137 road deaths recorded in 2025, says police in an updated release. So after Gordon been on the case yesterday, and he published this article or this post that I just read, they come out with a statement. After being pressed by News Force for several days, The Guyana Police Force, in a statement early this morning, revealed that between the 1st of January and the 31st of December 2025, a total of 130 murders were recorded in Guyana. The police force's statement this morning also revealed that a total of 124 fatal accidents were recorded in 2025, resulting in 137 deaths. In total, news sources understand that for 2025, Guyana recorded 2,179 road accidents, with 81% of those accidents not requiring medical attention. The traffic department has already indicated its plan to redouble its efforts to address the reckless use of the roadways. This morning, Guyana Police Force said its annual crime and traffic statistics are subject to a structured process of compilation, verification, and approval prior to public release, adding that the process is essential to ensure that all figures are accurate, complete, and fully reconciled across all divisions. The police force also stated that while crime trends and provisional data were presented during the Christmas policing briefing in November 2025, the reporting year was not yet formally closed, and the data was still undergoing final verification. The Ghana Police Force said it is committed to releasing accurate and verifiable information to the media. Well, during the Christmas press briefing, the crime chief, Wendell Blanham, expressed concern about the rising murder rate, especially as it relates to domestic murders, which he said are doubled in the country when compared to the figures of 2025. Now, they say a lot of things there. They said a lot of things. I am happy Gordon pressed them and he managed to get a response. But they mentioned something that I can't understand. Because they say that the annual crime and traffic statistics are subject to structured processing and compilation, verification, and approval prior to public release. This is not something that you wait until the end of the year to do. This is not something you wait until the end of the year. You get monthly, weekly returns. And by the end of February, you ought to tell us what happened in January. The figures are going to be there. Yes, you might have some case in very rare occasion where a person involved in an accident, an accident, the person might be in hospital and has not recovered. And therefore, later on, you might have to the person passes, and therefore later on, you might have to make some type of adjustment to the figures. But the adjustment to the figure got to adjust to increase the number of deaths. Because you're going to report that a person died and then the person lived and the government then take it off. You will report it as a serious accident, and then the serious accident might subsequently become a fatal accident. So you take it off from the serious accident matrix and you put it on the fatal accident. So I don't know what they're saying, because these things are monthly returns. How many accidents of the various categories? Minor, damage, serious, fatal. Who are the categories of people involved? Pedestrian, pedecyclist, motorcyclist, minibus driver, truck driver, hire car driver. All of those things are there. All of those things are there. So by the time you get to the end of the year, all you're waiting for is December figure. And very early in January, we passed 1 week in January, you ought to be able to give the figure, even if you put a proviso to it to say this is up to the end and it is likely to be adjusted within the next day or two or a week or so. And we talk about transparency. This is what breeds confidence in the system. But when you jump around and you're hiding and you don't want to give figures and so on, people are justifiably suspicious. Because you know, as I've said, the least transparent organization in the country is the Guyana Police Force. Perhaps in the world, the Guyana Police Force. Right? This is, somebody said, sometimes not every day. I can tell you something not every day. What happens on a daily basis, if you're at traffic, is that every day you get an accident in Guyana. Not fatal, but every day you get an accident. So you update. Damage, minor, serious, that is updated daily. Daily. So when somebody asks the traffic chief, what is your up-to-date figure in accident, he can rattle off all the categories. We had a big board in the office there. that was updated on that. So I don't know where they come in and they're telling you and all sort of thing. So again, congratulations, guys. I think it was Garden. I don't know if the other people were in the case as well, but they released the information as to the number of accidents. And let me say this, because you would note, you see, I just pick up these things, you would note that they're telling you that, let me read the part where they're saying here. I want to misquote them, right? They're talking here about how many, they say the statement this morning also revealed that a total of 124 fatal accidents were recorded in 2025, resulting in 137 deaths. Well, cock there right there. Because, they are making a distinction between fatal accidents and fatal incidents. So what they need to tell us, how many persons died on the roads in Guyana for 2025. Forget about the disaggregation. You don't want to hear how much is incident or how many are accident. Because all them many accidents that you had where animals walking across the road resulting in the death of people, I sure they're recorded as no fatal accident. So this 137 that they're talking about is way below what is the correct thing. Way below what is the correct thing. So you see, there is where they're cocking, right? And the people cruel, they're not even reaching out to puff the deal and get little baby oil or little grease. They put it on you like a caveman, raw. People want to know how many persons died on the road. So forget about this fatal accident stuff, right? Tell us how many persons died. Whether you call them accident, whether you call it incident, it gives a better picture. And I said this, in hiding the figure, in ghosting the figure, you're only fooling yourself. You're only fooling yourself, right? I was a traffic chief, so I know the thing. Put it there. They can't bring them nonsense to me. Fatal accidents. The only thing that we used to record as incidents is many times in the rice fields. Man driving the tractor turn over, pin him, he dies in the rice field. That is an incident. That is an incident. That is a fatal incident. When a man driving on the road and some pig run across or cow run across or ass run across, causing him or you crashes into one of those animals and resulting in death, you call it an incident. It's an accident. It happened on the road. And the reason why we used to refer to those things as incident, because it did not occur on the roads. It occurred in a rice field or on some dam that is not gazetted. So they come in and they tell you all these things. This year, I tell you all this year, it's pace and power, Pace and power. Pace and power. So when you all try to cut the people, I am going to come and I'm going to tell them what it is. Y'all share the life, man. Share the life. I walk it up, I warm up. I used to be a fast bowler. Well, not fast. I used to be a medium bowler, opening the bowling for the police officer team and so on. And, even though you can warm up before the game starts, it takes you perhaps a few deliveries and so on to really get into your stride. And I'm getting into my stride now. I'm warmed up. I'm getting into the strides. Right? So this figures what they give you is they're dashing this cock on you there. They're doing it and they're doing it caveman style. They're doing it caveman style. But I'm going to out them. Then I say out is not like in cricket. I'm going to reveal the truth. I'm going to reveal the truth. Right? Yeah, somebody tell me also vehicles running into lamp and power posts, they don't call it accident. They're calling them incident and thing. That's what they're doing. That is the ghosting that is taking place. Right? That is ghosting that is taking place. Right? Let me move on. Oh, Lord, time flying. I enjoyed myself, time flying. I need to touch on this case. I want to talk about Rodriguez. But I got another very important issue. It's not that is not important. That's another important issue to deal. I'm going to deal with this extradition case. I told you all, when I looked into the crystal ball last week, I told you all, because if you remember correctly, the defense for Azuddin Mohammed and his father had moved to the High Court to ask for the extradition proceeding before the magistrate to be stayed until the application that they made to the High Court to determine the constitutionality of the amendment to the Fugitive Offenders Act. They asked that this matter be stayed. And I told you all, the acting Chief Justice was to hand his decision, and he did on Monday. And I told you all, when I look into the crystal ball told me that the extradition case will begin on Tuesday. And the extradition case began on Tuesday. Right? This ball. Now, it has been reported that the permanent secretary from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs gave evidence, or at least began to give evidence on Tuesday. Tuesday was what? Tuesday was the 6th. And then the matter was put off to the 8th. That's yesterday. Right? Yesterday. Now, it was revealed yesterday that when the matter recommenced, the prosecution team, they're bringing this prosecutor from senior counsel from Jamaica with 2 others that they said they're paying some fantastic money to. They also brought in other prosecutors. We're going to deal with that. Yeah, listen carefully. So it was revealed that following the witness giving evidence or beginning to give evidence on Tuesday, certain things came up during the course of the cross-examination. In other words, the people recognize that there's a gap. Certain documents may not have been presented. So yesterday, when the matter continued, yesterday, 8th of January, the matter continued, the prosecution then decided they're going to make further disclosure. Oh, Lord, oh. Let me explain to y'all, Now, what is disclosure? Now, when you prosecuting a case, a person is charged, right? Person pleads not guilty. The prosecution has a burden to present to the defense all the evidence that they intend to use at the trial. So you get statements, you get whatever you got presented to the defense, so they get enough time to study it to make a proper defense. So it transpired that apparently they didn't present all the documents, or as the magistrate or somebody claimed that they're doing this thing off the cuff. So when they hear what evidence is given, and they hear the cross-examination, and they realize that there's a gap, then they also will say that they're not going to disclose additional documents. So yesterday, they brought some statement. That is what is reported. And of course, once that happens, the defense will object. So the defense objected, the magistrate made a ruling, allowed this other statement to be disclosed, but the magistrate, according to the report, it was very firm that she's not going to allow any further disclosure. She's not going to allow any further disclosure. Now, once a disclosure is made like that, it is only fair that the magistrate adjourn the matter, thereby giving the defense additional time to study the new document or documents. So the magistrate adjourned the matter to the 5th of when? March, I think it is, or 5th of February. Hold on, let me read the thing, man. Let me read the thing. I think it's the 5th of February. The magistrate adjourned the matter to the 5th of February. Right? Now, let me the magistrate adjourned the matter to the 5th of February. And then, look, let me tell you, let me read this part. Y'all can find it. Y'all listen carefully. Hey, today, this has been reported again by news source, Gordon Mosley, my boy, 5th of February, 5th of February, the matter is adjourned to. So it's almost a month from now. I'm going to tell you all about some of the implications there, 5th of February. But Gordon, my boy, prosecutor now seeking earlier date, initially rejected by them in the Mohammed's extradition hearing. So Gardner Mosley is reporting that the prosecutors are now seeking, remember this yesterday, Yesterday, the matter came up, magistrate adjourned the matter to the 5th of February, almost a month down the road, right? This is following agreement with the prosecutors and the defense counsel. They agree that that is the date. So hear what this letter is saying, hear what this news post is saying, right? Hours after telling Principal Magistrate Judy Latchman that he was unavailable on January the 20th, 2026 for the continuation of the extradition case involving Nazar and Azzuddin Mohammed, and that such agreed to dates in February, Special Prosecutor Terence Williams is now seeking the earlier dates. Principal Magistrate Judy Latchman on Thursday set January the 5th as the date for the continuation of the extradition hearing. However, in a letter to the clerk of court, the special prosecutor asked the court to reschedule the date for the continuation of the matter to an earlier date. The criminal proceedings in the Georgetown Magistrate, the committal proceedings rather, it's not a criminal proceeding. The committal proceedings in the Georgetown Magistrate Court adjourned early on Thursday, that's yesterday, after the prosecution introduced fresh evidence, even as the first witness was preparing to return to the witness stand. As she was preparing to adjourn the case, the principal magistrate proposed that it be adjourned to January the 20th, 2026, but the prosecutor told the court that he was unavailable for that date since he has a trial commencing on January the 19th, 2026. It was later agreed that the case be adjourned to February the 5th and 6th, 2026. But now, the attorney is requesting the earlier date that he initially turned down. Quote, in the circumstances and with due respect for the court's processes, we respectfully ask that our worship consider convening with notice to all parties to the earliest fixture hearing, the earliest fixture hearing date that is convenient to all parties and the court's diary, William wrote. Defense attorney in the matter have told the court that they are unavailable for the earlier date that the attorney now wants rescheduled. They have explained that after the prosecutor's original position, an agreement for the February date, they made other commitments. Quote, each is unavoidably bound by certain engagements, including much needed post-cancer treatment requiring 2 weeks of convalescence, which can admit of no rearrangement and would, in any event, be absent from the Georgetown jurisdiction for a major portion of the suggested period, the defense team wrote. The lawyers said in the circumstances, they are unable to agree to the new dates proposed by the prosecution. The court is to decide on the way forward. Now, let me break it down. I have to look in the crystal ball. Let me break it down. As I've said, the matter came up yesterday, and they decided to introduce, to make new disclosure, right? New disclosure. So once you make new disclosure, it, in fairness to the system, right? They're lucky the magistrate allowed the disclosure, right? They're lucky that the magistrate allowed the disclosure at that stage. So the magistrate allowed this new document to be disclosed and warned them that I ain't accepting no other documents and so on. Because you had enough time to prepare your case. You can't come here and be winging it when you hear evidence from one of the witnesses, and then based on the cross-examination, you know when to plug. You also have a plug gap. That's what happening. They also into plug gap. So, Mr. Williams, Mr. Trevor Williams, welcome to Guyana. Welcome to Guyana, because let me tell you what the crystal ball told me. That Williams genuinely had engagements and could not continue on the 20th of January. Yeah, look at your diary in case you all know. Let me explain further what happens once a matter is to be adjourned. The magistrate will look at her calendar, his or her calendar, and see which dates are available. And then she will put it to the lawyers, both the defense and the prosecution. Say, but look, are these dates convenient? Because remember the lawyers, they're one case. You got a lot of cases, and then they coded it all over the place, right? All over the place. So the magistrate would have gone through that. And based on the to and fro about this, the magistrate agreed. And Williams, it is said, senior counsel Trevor Williams, agreed January 5th will be a date for the continuation. Them by the like that. Them, and this is what the crystal ball told me, that when that was either communicated or they're following the thing and they realized, somebody say, hey, that thing taking too long. That is what the crystal ball told me. That Williams was then advised, and I'm being decent. I ain't saying he was instructed. I am saying he was told. Williams was advised to seek an earlier date, which he did. So they said the magistrate is to rule. But again, as I've said, the defense people don't get commitment. And you can't set a date. The magistrate would not set a date that is not convenient to all the parties. Right? The magistrate would not set a date. Having sat there and discussed these dates and agreed that it's going to be February the 5th, and then you come in now with this blasted googly. There's no googly. Even if it's a googly, it dropped halfway down the wicket. It's a long up. It's a long up. And my Bethel or Travis said, lash the till into the stand. They're going to lash it into the stand. Right? I said, even said January 5th of January passed. So you know it's a mistake I make. I mean 5th of February. Right? 5th of February. Right? So it's a long up the come with lash into the stand. But let me tell you, this is a practice that is perhaps in some cases prevalent. And Mr. CC's not here, but they will tell you that when they trumped up this charge against me, CC, and all these retired officers and so on, Soviet policemen, for conspiracy to commit fraud, the matter started before the magistrate. After like about 2 years, put off. Then eventually the trial started. When the trial started now, they start to wing the thing. The police prosecutor and the Soku prosecutor, who's now a magistrate, right? Jeffers was the police prosecutor. I think what the man name? Moabir was the Soku prosecutor. Whatever they're doing, when they air the evidence that is presented and they realize that they didn't make certain disclosures, then even though the trial is underway, they're trying to plug the gaps by making disclosure. Unfair. In our case, the magistrate refused. The magistrate said, look, y'all had 2 years and counting. 2 years, because these charges were instituted in 2021 and the trial began in 2023. Y'all had over 2 years to make disclosures. Are you coming now when the trial start to make disclosure? I'm not accepting any disclosure. You know what I did? Soku and the thing, they sued the magistrate. They sued the magistrate in the High Court. First of all, they sought to have the High Court compel her to open the case. And she continued. She said she adjourned initially and said she's going to seek advice and set a date. And when the date comes, she continued the matter. And not satisfied with that, they brought and the lawyers will understand, right? They brought what you call a civil action against the magistrate, right? All that they did. Again, in our case, they did that, right? All that they did. And the magistrate continued to hear the evidence because, as I said, what they're doing, you got a chance to prepare. You know the law requires that you do full disclosure. All the evidence that you intend to use, you have to give to the defense so they can prepare their defense. Prepare their defense. But no, you do a shitty investigation because there was never any crime, never any predicate of a crime in the first place. You get instructions, political instructions, to charge Slow and Conway, to have them removed from the Police Service Commission. So you hustle on your charge. No, then when the evidence started to come out about some computer and about vouchers, which you never disclose, you're then seeking when the trial starts to have these things disclosed. How unfair. How unfair. And the magistrate, kudos to her at that time. See, I'm not accepting that. Even though they're trying to bully the magistrate with I court action and all this everything. Magistrate proceeded and determined the case. At the end, magistrate said there was not an iota of evidence. Not an iota of evidence. People in the legal community, having looked at the matter, say they can't understand how anybody with any legal training would have gone through that file, see those documents, and decided that Slow and Conway and others should be charged with conspiracy to commit fraud and misconduct in public office for the officers who are still serving. But I get political directions. So as I've said again, coming back to this extradition case, so the matter put off to the 5th of February. I tell you, you know, they say smart fly. You know, them to smart fly, you get locked up someplace. You just get locked up. Smart fly just get locked up in cow ting, right? Smart fly. Look at the timeline. Look at the timeline. Timeline, they waited until the last working day, the last day, Friday, the 31st of October. That is when they arrest Mohammed and took him to court, right? When Parliament was set to convene on the Monday, the 3rd of November. The intention was clear to arrest him on the Friday, have him, even though, have him put away because he appeared in court the same day. The same Friday, the 31st of October, he appeared. And they wanted to make sure that he came then and that he would have been remanded to prison. They said so. They said that. Jack Dio said so. The other liar who's a member of parliament, his name escapes me right now, right? They said that the person should not have gotten bail. So the intention was, if he didn't get bail, then he could not have gone to parliament on the Monday. You know, when he drove in with his Lamborghini and he gave them this disease, Lamborghiniitis, they didn't expect him to think. So now they're in turmoil. He's out. So I am saying this again, is that now that this matter is put until February, again, another spokes in the wheel, Sanjeev Dattadin is a liar, thanks, student, who came out publicly and said that Azudin Mohammed and his father should not have been granted bail. So if the man arrested Friday, appeared in court on the same Friday, 31st of October, Parliament is to convene on the Monday, the 3rd of November, and you're saying that he should not have been granted bail. What is the intention? What are you implying? Implying clearly that he should have been locked up, no bail, and therefore he can't go to Parliament. He could not be sworn in as a member of Parliament. If you're not sworn in, if you're not a member of Parliament, you cannot become the opposition leader. So that the thing backfire, and he was sworn in a member of Parliament, and is now entitled to be elected as a member, as a leader of the opposition. So what has happened now? The Speaker, Manzoor Nadir, is refusing or has failed. Let me use more delicate language. Has failed to adhere to Article 184 to call a meeting of the opposition members for them to elect a leader of the opposition. I got a strong suspicion now that this matter put after the 5th. No, they're going to call Parliament. I wonder what happened to the budget. Wonder what is going to happen to the budget presentation, right? And let me say this too. Let me say this. You know, there is no leader of the opposition, and as I told you all, I'm wearing black to mourn the death of democracy in Guyana and constitutional order. Last week, Old Year's Day, President, in defiance of the Constitution, swore in members of the Teaching Service Commission. When the Constitution is clear, for the 3 members of the other thing, you have to consult with the leader of the opposition. You have to, that's what the Constitution says. And as I indicated to y'all on this program, I'm not a liar, but I said a bad precedent was set with the appointment of Ikin as acting commissioner, because there was no leader of the opposition at the time, right? And the appointment was challenged. And the Chief Justice acting, Madam Roxanne Judge, right, ruled that because there was no opposition leader, it was necessary to make the appointment. And therefore, she ruled the appointment lawful. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to use that precedent. I argued there and then. I did not agree with the decision by the Chief Justice. With all due respect, I did not agree, and I pointed out the reasons why I did not agree. Right? Because the Chief Justice made certain statements, and I said, the Chief Justice ran when it comes to the public service. One of the statements I call out the acting Chief Justice on was the one where she said that there is no difference between a person acting and a person carrying out the functions of. I said, wrong, not in the public service. Public service, you're acting. When you're acting, in the case of the Commissioner of Police and Deputy Commissioners, the Constitution spells out the process for acting or substantive. And once you didn't follow that, you can't say the person was acting. The person in this case, Opie, was carrying out the functions of. And I made that argument. And what I do? The lawyers and them did not appeal that decision. They allowed. So that decision stands. That decision, but I believe, is a flawed decision stands. And therefore, when the fact that they went ahead and they appointed a teaching service commission, if you were to challenge that, they're going to use the same precedent. It was necessary because the president also already said so, that you got to, even though for 2 years you had no teaching service commission, that is what they're going to say. That is what they are going to say. And the same thing when the president moved to suspend myself and Conway from the Police Service Commission. They wanted to use the same argument that because the Constitution in this case requires the involvement of the Judicial Service Commission. And there was no Judicial Service Commission. And they used that same argument to say, well, there was no Judicial Service Commission and it was necessary for the president to take this action. Justice Gino Prasad pointed out to them then that the fact that there was no Judicial Service Commission was the president's burden to bear. You cannot appoint the commission as you are constitutionally required to do, and then violate the Constitution, and then come and tell me, well, there was no commission. It can't work like that. You have to appoint the commission. So coming back to this thing, teaching service. I said all of that to make the point. Don't take it beyond this government, Mansour Nadir, and them to go to Parliament to read budget and to pass budget without calling that meeting for the leader of the opposition to be appointed. Don't put it beyond these people. And I know some people come and tell us, well, the Constitution said this, and body, these people have no regard for the Constitution. The Constitution is an inconvenient piece of document to them. I have absolutely no regard for the Constitution. So watch. That is what the ball telling me. Watch. They're going to come and they're going to say, well, it is necessary for the budget to be read, and notwithstanding that there is no leader of the opposition, we can go ahead and we can read the budget. We can even go so far, they might even pass the budget. I would love to hear my good friend, Mr. Winston Jordan, former finance minister, at some stage comment on this aspect. They are likely to go ahead, nothing and holding them back. They're going to go and violate the Constitution repeatedly. Because, as Juman Yassim said, attorney at law, senior counsel, the wicket set. The wicket is set. I seen our Nandalal came out with a statement on Tuesday saying that the chancellor wasn't forced out. Well, look, you could say what you want to say. You could say what you want to say. We are sensible enough. And in the case of the acting chancellor, this beautiful letter by senior counsel Yassin pointed out all the dates of the various appointments and seniority and the precedents and all of that. He spelled it out in great detail. I have a copy that I will go through from time to time. Beautiful letter. Congratulations to Mr. Juman Yassin. Yeah, I must read it. Yeah, I must read it. Now, let me go through some other thing here. As I said, now that you're going to get this extradition case postponed to the 5th of February, despite the request now being made by Mr. Williams to have an earlier date, I can't see it happening because it has to have the defense. You sit down and you agree to a date, and then when people must tell you that that's taking too long and all this, you run now to say that you want an earlier date. When the earlier date was offered, and you said that you get matter on the 19th, so you can't take the 20th, right? But I say this to you, Mr. Williams. I don't know Mr. Williams, senior counsel from Jamaica, employed by the government of Ghana. By the government of Ghana, what did I tell you about the U.S.? He employed by the government of Ghana to represent the U.S. interests, right? Because when Nandalal said, asked other fulfillment he come with, the U.S. Embassy in Georgetown made a statement, at least two statements they made, that they had nothing to do with the selection and they have nothing to do with the payment of the lawyers representing or prosecuting the extradition case. U.S. came out and said that, even though Nandalal lied, as he usually does, to say all sort of things. So, welcome to Guyana, Mr. Williams. And I want to say this, Senior Counsel Williams, I should add. When you mix with PPP, whatever little integrity, whatever little reputation you get likely to be tarnished. You know, they say play with the puppy, you will be bitten by the flea. That is what happened. Because you, imagine yesterday, you said the 20th is not convenient. And then overnight, you wake up with one of them dreams like what the president has got overnight to say, well, now you want the earlier date. Let me see where that can go. Let me go on to say the thing on to the 5th. So I can't see Nadir deciding to call no meeting now before then. At the end of the day, the PPP will tell you it is not us, the PPP, who are preventing this process. It is the Speaker of the National Assembly, not them, right? And let me go on. Time running. We got to run with this thingy. Now, let me say this. And don't forget, I said here, I made some note, it's obvious that the PPP does not want Azzuddin Mohammed to be the leader of the opposition. But I know that is obvious to all. Even if you went to Ifrat University, Palmyra University, the Speaker of the House, I may have said something wrong, the Speaker of the House, not here, right? Now, even if by now you come from any one of them counter university, you ought to recognize from all that is going, the evidence is there, direct and circumstantial, that the PPP don't want Azzuddin Mohammed as leader of the opposition. And if you have any doubt about that, listen, let me tell you all again what the president said. President said a couple days ago, listen carefully.
The opposition leader will be a he or she. You're assuming that the opposition leader will be a he. I think that's a very big assumption. There might be a view that the opposition leader might be a he, but I can't predict what will happen.
One way or another.
That's a vote. One way or another, an opposition leader will be there, and when an opposition leader is there, the president will fulfill his responsibility in accordance with the Constitution, whether it's he or she.
You didn't prefer to wait.
Whether it's a he or she. You don't hear that? You hear that? So when you talk about the presumptive leader of the opposition being Azzuddin Mohammed, that is a very loaded statement there from the president. Is he suggesting that things are going on behind the scene to make sure that someone other than Azzuddin Mohammed is elected as the leader of the opposition? That is how I'm reading it, you know. I said he or a she. So is there a she? You got to look to see who are the she's in the opposition. Who are the she's in the opposition? And are they being approached? Are there charandasses around so that when the time comes for votes to be cast? Because we understand that the vote it can't be, let me say this. If the votes are to be cast by secret ballots, Nadir don't convene the meeting for the opposition members. Secret ballots. Because nobody would know who vote for who. Right? But the thing, hard to Winston tell me and what I've read in the Constitution, it's not no secret ballot. So you can know who you vote for. They can know who you vote for. So maybe that is what is holding back the thing. So maybe a she is in the running to be leader of the opposition. And anytime, let me say this without any fear of contradiction, anytime there's a she in the running for leader of the opposition, it's because Jackie Opel came to town. Jackie Opel. In case, I got to always remember, you know the teaching thing at me, I will explain certain things. Let me talk about Jackie Opel. Jackie Opel was a singer who sang in my days a very famous song. He said, "You got to pay," and you got to pay. You got to pay. You got to pay. So when we talk about Jackie Opel, we're talking about pay, money, cheese, dineros, thing passing, anytime. So maybe negotiations are going on behind the scene, and maybe Sharon Dasses are lining up with a lot of cash rip to make sure that the thing goes a certain way. That's the only logical conclusion we can come to. Now, let me say this, right? Again, they want Azuddin Mohammed because according to Nandlal, I like quote them, electing an opposition leader who is sanctioned, who is indicted in the US, and who is facing extradition will be a stain on the parliament. That's what Nandlal said to me. I just repeat, he said it's going to be a stain. However, it wasn't a stain when Irfan Ali was the PPP presidential candidate back in 2020. And he had 19 fraud charges, and he was elected to the highest office in the land as president. It wasn't a stain on the presidency. It wasn't a stain on Guyana then to elect a man with 19 fraud charges as president. But it will be a stain on the parliament, according to Nandlal, to elect the leader of the opposition as a man who get extradition proceedings pending and who's indicted for in the US. That is these people's logic. That is the thinking. That is how they think. Warp thinking. Right? Warp. Why you gonna, I tell you all already, I'm afraid of them, I'm not afraid to speak the truth. I'm not afraid because anything that I've said, let them come and dispute it. Let them come and dispute it. As somebody said, PVP with all the corruption is a stain on Guyana. Look at the man, the man there with the gun. The man with the gun. He come out and he claim you got to get $2 to $4 million to get a gun like he's a businessman. He claims he's a legitimate businessman. $2 to $4 million. And he is a foreigner. He lives abroad. He lives abroad. He works with, I should say a foreigner. He's a Guyanese who lives abroad. And the man is saying that that is what you got to do. So that would have gone all over and people would have seen what this thing is all about. People would have seen corruption. Susan Rodriguez, I sure get time for going to that this afternoon. I will find some time. But let me go into this this other thing. I said well, I told you about the prosecution lie written right into the magistrate, and I said already, Mr. Williams wants to mix with the PPP, integrity, credibility, got to suffer. So I don't know how you must look real bad. And I understand, when they started, it was the 3 Jamaican lawyers. Then they brought in Glenn Hanneman. It is being reported now that they brought in another lawyer, some Trinidadian lawyer, to be part of the prosecution team in this extradition case. Is that an indication that they don't have any confidence? They have no confidence any longer in Mr. Williams? I don't know. But if the trial starts and you're now bringing in additional firepower, one can very well reasonably conclude that you're not satisfied with how the matter going or how it is likely to go. So you bring in extra firepower, pay them a whole set of money. Are we money, Guyana money? Are we Guyanese taxpayers' money being paid? Are we Guyanese? So another lawyer is recruited according to the report. It is alleged that another lawyer is being reported to strengthen the team. Douglas Mendez is the name of the lawyer, confirmed from a source. Douglas Mendez. And if I remember the gentleman, I think he was involved in the election thing. He's a senior counsel. And when you're a SC, not an SC with other letters behind, I'm going to tell you all, you get SCs and you get SCs. In the case of Mr. Douglas Mendez, or Mendez, however he's pronounced Trinidad, he is a SC. He's a senior counsel. We have some of them are SCs, and then other letters follow to spell out that unique Guyanese cuss word. I am going to call it but you're bright enough to know what I'm talking about. Some of them is SC, and they get 3 other letters behind. The last one is a T, right? So they're bringing in more firepower. And again, it is logical and it is reasonable to conclude that if you got 3 Jamaican liars you brought in, then you brought in Glenn Hanneman, right? Now you're bringing in a senior counsel from Trinidad when the trial has started. Are you saying that you have no confidence in the team that you assembled? That is that's a reasonable conclusion. But let me see where it will go, right? Let me see where it will go. And let me tell you this. These people are not ordinary. These people are not ordinary. All of a sudden now, the Mohammeds have become the worst people in Guyana by far. They are, let me see, hold on, I'm looking for a slide for show y'all, man. The worst people. So this is how y'all money spending, you know. I don't think I made the slide. Sorry, I didn't make the slide. I can do it another day. See, if my colleague CC was here, I would have pulled in, I would have made the slide, and I will show y'all. But we can come to some other, maybe on the next program. And here, if this is not persecution, I don't know what is. If it is not persecution. I saw something today. You know, you can't help being surprised. But I say over and over, with the action of these people, you should not be surprised. Let me tell you what I'm talking about here now. You know, the police, they're reporting today that they take away Mohammed vehicle. Not the police, GRA. The GRA confiscated the vehicle belong. Oh, here, I have it here. Here what it says. GRA orders Mohammed Land Cruiser turned over to police. Security features to be removed. Here what it says. Listen to this carefully. This is today reported. A single vehicle has suddenly become the center of a high-stakes standoff between Azzuddin Mohammed's legal team and the Guyana Revenue Authority after the tax agency ordered that a Toyota Land Cruiser registration PAB 3000 be handed over to the Guyana Police Force. The GRA says the vehicle, which it noted was previously owned by businessman Azzuddin Mohammed, was transferred contrary to the terms under which it was imported and registered. Based on that position, the agency has instructed that the Land Cruiser be delivered to the police. In the same directive, the GRA has ordered that the vehicle's bulletproof and other security features be examined and removed, setting a deadline of January 7, 2026. I know this is right because if it come out today, I know they said maybe it is backdated. But Mohammed's attorneys are pushing back. In a firm response, the lawyers reject the GRA's claim, arguing that the transfer was lawful, was approved by GRA officers, and was backed by a valid certificate of registration. The defense team is now demanding that the GRA identify exactly which law it says was breached. They have also requested written reasons for this decision, signaling that the matter could be headed towards judicial review if the agency does not provide a legal basis for its position. Hey, what happening here now? Let me break it down. They're saying that this vehicle, and this is the vehicle here, let me show you all the vehicle. They're saying that this vehicle, PAB 3000, is the vehicle when the police seized it on Christmas Day as they were distributing gifts, they claim. This is what the vehicle looks like, a Toyota Land Cruiser, bulletproof vehicle. You remember Mohammed said you get bulletproof vehicle? Look, this one here, this is one that was used by the president at the inauguration in 2020, even though he had come out later and he said, that's other thing. Look, this is Azzuddin bulletproof vehicle. I don't know if it's the same vehicle, but look, you get a presidential crown, which means that the president was using it when he was president, despite the fact that he came to say, to tell the public, to fool the public, to lie to the public, to say that he used it before, and once he became president, he did not use it. So if he did not use it, who used it with the presidential crown on it, right? You know, this is the signal presidential crown. And then for those of you who don't know, the prime minister get a coat of arms. The prime minister vehicle will have the coat of arms. The president will have the crown. They're using the vehicle, same bulletproof vehicle. I know, well, he might have more than one. I don't know if it's the same, this is the same vehicle that he used when he went to be inaugurated in 2020. But let me say this in terms of this statement that they attacked this vehicle. So you have the GRA, right, confiscating a vehicle for a private citizen and handing them over to the police, is what they say, right? Must turn over to the police, and then they say the security features was removed. That confuses me. Why turning over to the police for? What are you going to turn this over? One gets the impression that you're saying that this vehicle wasn't registered. The vehicle was transferred from Azudin Mohammed to somebody else in violation of the terms of and condition of its importation and registration. So you have taken away the private citizen vehicle, tell and give it to the police. And what confuses me more is that if it is that this private vehicle is equipped with security features such as bulletproof and this type of thing, if you turn them over to the police, why they got to remove these things? If one assumes that you're giving it to the police, why you are going to remove the bulletproof? Police are not entitled to have security features and vehicles that they have, because if you turn them over to them, then they own it. Then one would expect that then they're going to have the authority to have these features on the vehicle. I say I like when they write and I like when they talk, because I get more stuff to go into. And let me say this here now. Let me say this, right? How this vehicle transferred from Mohammed to somebody else? Well, Mohammed walk into the GRA and demand the records and the books, and he did this transaction himself. How did this occur? How did it occur? Mohammed go into this man so powerful that Azudin Mohammed walk into GRA, go around the counter, take the things, and he did this transfer himself. That is what y'all are suggesting. That is what you're suggesting. And then for that, let me see where it goes. Because I am saying this, and I agree with the liars, that even if the thing was imported in violation, what happened to the rule of law? What happened with carrying this man before the court or something like that and let the court pronounce? Y'all carry already and y'all withdraw charges. What happened? You want to tell me in a democratic society, a state agency like the Guyana Revenue Authority can just take a person's vehicle and hand it over to the police because this vehicle they claim violated the conditions under which it was imported and registered? I tell her, you're wearing the black on a Friday to mourn the death of democracy and the rule of law in Guyana. And you think you're done there? It ain't done there. Breaking news today. Hold on, man, hold on. I gotta tell you how today is a hard day, you know. Hold on. Hey, what they saying now? This is breaking this afternoon, right? Tinted glass, unlicensed, uninsured. Mohammed pleads not guilty to traffic charges. Azudin Mohammed was made to appear at the Wim Magistrate Court today to answer traffic charges, offenses allegedly committed since sometime last year. But let me read, short 3 paragraph. Let me read. Y'all might not be aware of this, but you see, I dive into the thing, you know, I dive in. People sending me stuff, and I just browse and try to get information. This is HGP News, nightly news. After being summoned to appear, Azudin Mohammed was back before the Wim Magistrate Court on Friday, January 9, 2026, where he pleaded not guilty to a slate of traffic-related charges and walked out on bail totaling $65,000. Right? Around November couldn't be in election campaign because election was in September. Mohammed, 38 of Lot 19 Public Road, Houston, East Bank, Demerara, was originally charged on November the 14th, 2025 for offenses listed as prohibited tinted glass, obscure identification mark, unlicensed motor vehicle, and uninsured motor vehicle. The case was called on several occasions. You mean that the case is not the case. This is a mistake they make. The cases were called on several occasions, and the magistrate later ordered a summons for Mohammed to attend court on January the 9th. When the matter was heard, the charges were read and Mohammed entered a not guilty plea across the board. Bail was then granted in separate amounts: 5,000 for prohibited tin glass, 40,000 for obscure ID mark, 10,000 for uninsured motor vehicle, and 10,000 for unregistered motor vehicle, bringing the total to $65,000. The case has been postponed to January 30th, 2026, when Mohammed is expected to return to court as the matter continues. This is what you call persecution, right? This is what you call persecution. You know why? Because it was only last week or sometime late they come up with this tint regulation. Remember, Minister Waldron? And they say that you get a grace period. You have a grace period to put yourself in order. But not Azuddin Mohammed. He is charged with prohibition of tint. So the grace period does not apply to him. Does not apply the grace period. And let me say this again. I mean, it's Travis make the release, but I believe this is what the police or somebody would have said. That the case was called on several occasions, and the magistrate later ordered a summons for Mohammed to attend court. So something wrong there too. Let me go into the police. I don't have any police mode. Magistrate can order no summons. If this matter was properly before the magistrate, and the defendant, Azuddin Mohammed, was either summoned or arrested, put on bail to go to court on this particular date, and he failed to appear, there's no summon. A warrant should have been issued for his arrest. A warrant should have been issued for his arrest. Again, these offenses are alleged to have been committed on the 14th of November, 2025. And if it is that the matters were properly before, in other words, if you get a ticket and you go, I suspect how they boarded, he might have been charged. It's not no ticket. They charge him for go to court on the parting lead. So if you charge him to go to court, was he on a recognizance? Was he on bail? How are we going to court? And if he failed to go to court, having been placed on a recognizance or having posted bail, right, then magistrate can order no summons. Magistrate, you know, that they're confusing. I don't know. A matter already before the court, you summon a person to attend court, either as a witness or a defendant. But the matter is already before court, so you can't summon it to attend court. I don't know what they say. What they say. I want my liar friends on this life to help me out here, man. Because maybe my teaching wrong. But you summon someone to go to court as a defendant, or you summon the person to go to court as a witness. But if a person is already charged and the matter is before the court, you can't summon him. He's already before the court. If he fails to appear before the court, then a magistrate, once satisfied that the defendant knew that he had to go to court, and how the magistrate can be satisfied. You're going to see the return, the bail receipt, the return the service of summons, or you see the bail receipt. Once it's presented, the magistrate is satisfied that you knew that you had to go to court. An application is made for an arrest warrant to be issued. I know damn summons. I come and tell people outside the table that you're dunce self. How can you come to, well, I am blaming the person who wrote it. I am blaming the persons who would have conveyed that information. The matter is before the court. You can't then summon nobody as a defendant. It's already before the court. You can only summon witnesses now to go and give evidence. And if, as I've said, the magistrate is satisfied that the matters are properly before him and that the defendant was placed on bail or the defendant was placed on a recognizance and he failed to comply with the conditions of the bail, which would have included the date they have to appear, the magistrate can then issue an arrest warrant. No blasted summons, right? No summons. He issues an arrest warrant, right? He issues an arrest warrant for the person to be arrested, right? Hold on, let me just think it. As I said, CC and there with me today, so I gotta make sure, right? Right, yeah, an arrest warrant or a bench warrant. But it's a warrant got to be issued. No summons. No summons. Right? So again, I say the problem is, or part of the problem is, you have a lot of people in the system who don't have the policing experience. People who make these releases, and even senior officers who are in command of divisions. To me, these things are basic. They don't know. They don't know. If they may know, imagine what happened to the constables and the junior ranks down the line. And in many cases, the people down the line, well, in some cases, the people I know, but the people in the senior position use the power. Don't tell me this, don't tell me that. The people know and may advise them what is the correct thing. But I can't lie, Lewis, you talk about the power continuum. I had a tap here with the power. Who are you to tell me that is not right or this is not right? That is what is going on. But as I've said, when they write these things, and I believe it's out of ignorance, it is not deliberate. It is out of ignorance. They don't know, and there's no one to advise them about the correct thing. But when you're telling people that a man failed to appear in court and the magistrate order summons, I can't tell. Let me going back to Nyland Wells. What nonsenseness is that? Summons? Summons are issued, let me remind you all. And this is something they don't use often enough. They're like arrests. But in many cases, there's no need for arrest. Arrests sometimes lead to confrontation. Somebody go and they come to the station, they make a report, let's say about noise nuisance. You take the report, take the statement and so on, and you can proceed by way of summons. And I could tell you, summons in the back in the day, I know what color is the summons now. Summons used to be blue. And people said that blue paper had a terrific impact because when you did something and you believe it was all over, then a week or two down the road, you get a summons to appear in court. That used to shake the core because people have complained. They thought this thing they done. I thought this thing they done, and so on. Yeah, summons can be very, very effective. But the police now, because summons require writing, for the slightest thing, arrest and charge. That's what I tell you. Arrest. And in many cases, the arrest leading to confrontation, which can be avoided. Summons is a legitimate way to get a matter before the court. A legitimate way. And it is not used often enough. It is not used often enough. Now, let me see what more I have to say on this matter. I don't think I have anything more to say on this particular issue with Asadin and the extradition case and his father. But there are some other issues. Time would not permit me to go into it. Because I noted there's a video going around on social media where the elder Mohammed, Nazar Shel Mohammed, is alleged, well, the video saying that he's making some disparaging remarks against black people. Right? I'm going to deal with it in depth because I noted today, tell you this afternoon, the ERC, the Ethnic Relation Commission of Guyana, that commission which is chaired by Muin Ak, I think is the name, the husband of the DPP, they sent let me put out a press release. Hear what the press release says. Yeah, share the life, man. Share the life. We ain't done yet. No done as you like. ERC investigating racial remarks allegedly made by Nazar Mohammed. The Ethnic Relation Commission, ERC, wishes to inform the public that its Media Monitoring Unit, MMU, they got a media monitoring unit. I got the names and all them. So they're monitoring this program too, to hear if we can see anything contrary that they can interpret as inciting racial hostility. That is the they're monitoring here too. And that is why I have asked you, I've always said to you, that be respectful in your comments. And when I have the time, what I try to do is to go through the comments. And if there's anything that is racially insensitive, I delete it. I'm law-abiding, I delete it. I want it, I delete it. So I'm doing my best. But here what it says, the Media Monitoring Unit on the 8th of January 2026 has taken note of a video being circulated on social media with concerning racial remarks allegedly made by Nazar Mohammed. The Media Monitoring Unit has captured and recorded the statement in question as part of its continuous monitoring mandate. The Commission reiterates that any remarks which promote ethnic hostility, prejudice, or discrimination fall within the purview of the constitutional mandate of the ERC. In keeping with the established protocol honoring due process and fairness, the matter is currently engaging the attention of the ERC's investigative unit. The public will be updated as investigations continue. The Ethnic Relations Commissions remain committed to fostering harmony, mutual respect, and peaceful coexistence among all ethnic groups within Guyana. I can talk about that more because, again, it's an animal farm. Yeah? So you got people, right, who making all sorts of comments, and we're not aware that anything happened. But if you are baby Skello and you sing something that sounds blasphemous to a particular religion, arrest, charge, remand. Arrest, charge, remand. And if you are certain other people, you're making certain remarks, that will not happen. The other woman, was she there, Posada or something, talking us other thing. You have the little Indian boy, or you kill out all them black man, invite them, give them poison for drink. What they do? They call you sometime long after a lot of uproar and furore, they call you and give you a rap on the knuckle. That is what is going on, selective enforcement. So they're going to come with some BS report and all this type of thing, and that is what goes on at the ERC. Right? That is what. They said they're going to investigate Shell. Let me see. They're already pandering to the public, man, and pandering to let people believe that they're doing something. Right? Because, man, I saw the statement. And the statement, to me, is very offensive. Right? Very offensive. But then I also saw a statement, I think yesterday in the court, when Nazar Mohammed said, well, he ain't a racist, he get black people friend, he get all of that. And he talk about his philanthropy, where he give people rock money. And when he talk about his philanthropy and the fact that he's not racist, it reminds me of a statement made by the former president, Hugh Desmond Hoyt. And let me give you all the context. Desmond Hoyt is alleged to have said that a certain man, right, had homosexual tendencies. And then Desmond Hoyt is alleged to have said that the same man was a womanizer. Right? So the man was asked for a response. And the man said, Desmond Hoyt should make up your mind. One time he said, I'm a homosexual. One time he said, I'm a womanizer. I know you must make up your mind. And then they asked the question, the same thing was put to Desmond Hoyt. And let me clear the truth to tell you what Desmond Hoyt said. Desmond Hoyt said that as far as I'm aware, the two proclivities are not mutually exclusive. Language! Desmond Hoyt said, as far as I'm aware, the two proclivities are not mutually exclusive. In other words, he's saying that you can be a homosexual and you can be a womanizer, as far as he's aware. So in this case, perhaps I have had interactions with Mr. Mohammed, and from the interactions that I had with him, he never came across to me as a racist. But when they discover that this man is a racist, I gotta go into it more and more. When he been with them, then they know now that the propaganda media, PV propaganda media, playing up this thing. In other words, they want to incite certain emotions from black people that this man talking bad about black people. But as again, that's the two proclivities. In other words, if the fact that you're very philanthropic doesn't mean that you're not a racist. That is what we said. The two proclivities are not mutually exclusive. So say you, Desmond Hoyt, right? And I think there's a good time. But I got to go into that matter with Mr. Mohammed. As I've said, I have known him for a lot of years. I had a few interactions with him in person otherwise. And I don't know him to be a racist. At least he never showed it to me. But you know, everything now playing out. And the laugh in this is that the people who pushing this thing, the people pushing it are the PPP propagandists. Them are the ones who pushing it. So if, let me assume for argument's sake, that Shell Mohammed is a racist. When did they know that? When he was in your bosom of the beast and all that used to get together, right? What is it? Can we assume, therefore, that birds of a feather flock together? That is the assumption, that he was a racist and all that he was racist, so he could have get together and they could have talked bad about black people. I can go into this more. And then police issued some statistics there about accident and so on. I'm going to go into that more too. And then I saw police issued a release about bail and suspended driver's license and fine. I'm going to go into it. I ain't got enough time now to go into all of that. I don't want to keep you any longer from your Friday afternoon toops. I don't want to keep you much longer from your Friday afternoon toops. But before I go, let me show you one other thing. You know, we know what's going on in Venezuela. And we know there is a new acting, the vice president, Delcy Rodriguez. I don't know if in Spanish they call her Rodriguez or whatever. She is the new president. Either she acting, because once Maduro was taken out last week, Saturday, right? In the middle of the night, they pick you up and carry away, right? They covered force, and she said they recognize Maduro as the only president of Venezuela. And then Trump makes some statements, and like she put your tail between her feet. But I say this to tell you that in relation to Guyana and the border issue, Delcy Rodriguez was even more hawkish than Maduro. She is the person to go into all them international body and making us other statement. Look, I have a picture with her here. Look. This is Delcy Rodriguez, or Rodriguez, with the map of Venezuela showing Essecobo as part of Venezuela. Delcy Rodriguez. One of the things I would expect, or not expect, I would hope that this government, when negotiating with the U.S. for take people from third-party countries and so on, will now ask the U.S. to insist that they drop this claim, this spurious claim. Now that you get leverage over them, insist that they drop this claim to Essecobo. That is what would satisfy most of us patriotic Guyanese. Drop the claim. It is a spurious claim, right? Because, and if you don't want them to drop the claim, at least insist that they recognize whatever decision comes down from the ICJ. But there's a hard ask, because I don't think the U.S. is a member of that body. Don't think the U.S. is a member of that body. Max, tell them, whenever the ruling comes down, accept whatever the ruling is. Because they have already said repeatedly, Delcy Rodriguez, Maduro, Uganda, always say that they don't accept, even they don't say it openly, but they did say it openly, that they're not prepared to accept whatever ruling handed down by the ICJ. That's because they know that the body is likely to rule in favor of Guyana. Folks, I'm not good at, I said so myself, ma'am. You know what y'all tell me? I know that I played well, played a few shots. I didn't get dropped on time. I pierced the field. I pierced the field with Lawrence Rowe-like precision, right? I hit boundaries with Chris Gale-like fierceness. I'm telling, I'm praising myself. I delivered some deliveries with Michael Oling ferocity. I did well, I know. So thank you for listening. And the numbers went up bigly. The number went up bigly in the over 2,500 on the live. Hope I didn't disappoint you. As I've said, my colleague is unavoidably absent. Today is the man wife's birthday. I want to come here for sit down in class with y'all as well. So yeah, I've come to the end. And I want to, again, as you see the banner here, those of you who can show your appreciation in a tangible form, please do so. Please do so, either Cash App, Zelle, or MMG. Please do so. I have a lot of stuff left back to tell you on Monday. We are due to come again. We are due to come again on Monday. So all I would say to you now, get a weekend coming up. Tomorrow, we can start today for a lot of people, yeah, today. Be safe. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Be safe. Right? We are due to meet again Monday at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's 12 noon, Ghana time. Until then, stay well. Bye.
Speaking out, yeah, 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 yeah. Up comes Parslow and Mr. Clinton. Can't wait. Speaking and exposing corruption each and every day. Yeah, 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 yeah. Guyanese, turn on your TV and go to YouTube and listen to what Parslow and Conway to say. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whole day we are calling for Parslow and Clinton Conway. They teach and educating, exposing the things in the system. We need a better Guyana for the little boys and the children poor. Slow and Clinton Conway.
All the money they invest, 2.2 billion.
Hear me when I sing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh.
And they would have gotten all of them and would have been able to get,
Guyanese at home and abroad. Please log into Conway as wide as it can reach. Paul Slow, you always will preach. Oh, yeah, yeah. Like and share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so this message could reach as far. And every Guyanese will feel well. Oh, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Paul Slow and Clinton Conway. Paul and Conway, every day.
all the money they invest, 2.2 billion of our money. That money could have been invested in some place. They have to say.
Right, the issues